Thomas Hamlin Quaid.
Chad Huntley. David Benson. John Chance. Tom Brokaw.
In the race, Senator Barack Obama running for president.
Let's be the generation that makes future generations proud of what we did here.
And promising to bring the troops home. Change of command, the new boss in Iraq. And the growing problem in Afghanistan, new fighting over a cash crop. Stretched thin, America's citizen soldiers facing shortages on the home front. And piling on, the snowfall that just keeps coming. More than 100 inches and counting.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. The race for president got a little more interesting today with the official announcement from Senator Barack Obama. He is running for president. And as he enters a crowded Democratic field, Obama pledged today to end the war in Iraq and end gridlock in Washington. Not to be outdone, one of his chief rivals made news of her own today. We have both camps covered tonight. We'll begin with NBC's Janet Shamlian in Springfield, Illinois. Good evening, Janet.
Good evening, John. What for weeks has been a foregone conclusion today became fact. In a place steeped in history, Barack Obama joined the race for president.
On a frigid morning, Senator Barack Obama fired up a crowd of thousands.
I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for president of the United States of America.
At the State House, where Abraham Lincoln called on a divided nation to unite, Obama pledged to bridge a political divide, offering himself as part of a new generation that can build a more hopeful America.
Let's be the generation that makes future generations proud of what we did here.
Facing a field of political veterans, he played his newcomer status as an asset.
I know that I haven't spent a lot of time learning the ways of Washington, but I've been there long enough to know that the ways of Washington must change.
Change he advocated in healthcare, the economy, education, and poverty, reserving his harshest words for the war in Iraq, calling it a tragic mistake.
America, it is time to start bringing our troops home.
Obama says his plan would bring them home by March of 2008. Early polls show him third, trailing both Senator Hillary Clinton and John Edwards. Polls also indicate he starts the race as the most likable candidate.
It's a unifying voice and a unifying message, and his life story embodies that.
Obama's national political resume is thin, just 2 years in the U.S. Senate. Observers say it's his biggest hurdle. Obama called his bid an improbable quest, one that continues tonight in front of an overflow crowd in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The first stop in his quest for the nation's top political prize.
Obama is in Iowa again tomorrow, then Chicago, Monday, moving on to New Hampshire. The race is on. John?
NBC's Janet Shamlian tonight. Janet, thank you. From Obama's campaign, we turn to one of the best-known Democrats in this race, Senator Hillary Clinton. She was also on the road today in another key state, New Hampshire. NBC's Andrea Mitchell joins us tonight from Manchester with that story. Good evening, Andrea.
Good evening, John. Hillary Clinton came to New Hampshire today for the first time as a presidential candidate, campaigning for herself, not her husband. But even in enthusiastic crowds, people want to know, why did she vote for the Iraq War in 2002?
Well, I'm Hillary Clinton. And I'm running for president, and I'm in it to win it with your help.
Hillary Clinton came back to the state that sent her husband, the self-described comeback kid, to the White House. Now she is back as a senator, no longer first lady or candidate's wife, trying to make history for herself.
There may be some of you who have thought, maybe even said, that it's kind of hard to think about electing a woman president. You know, my response to that is we will never know until we try.
But from her first stop in Berlin, she had to confront questions about her vote for the war.
I want to know if right here, right now, once and for all, without nuance, you can say that that war authorization vote was a mistake.
I have taken responsibility for my vote. The mistakes were made by this president who misled this country and this Congress into a war that should not have been waged.
It is the issue she cannot escape among anti-war New Hampshire Democrats. On the front page of today's Manchester Union Leader, even on the minds of admirers.
You said that if you were president in 2002, you would have not gone into war.
Right.
However, how can you then explain the seeming contradiction from your voting to support the invasion in Iraq?
You know, I do not believe that most of us who voted to give the president authority thought he would so misuse the authority we gave him.
So what does she have to overcome?
First of all, she has to have a future vision for Iraq. That is the most important thing. And she has to also be able to unify people at home.
Hillary Clinton drew very large crowds here today, and enthusiastic crowds. But so are all the other Democrats in New Hampshire this year. The voters here want to take a hard look. They want a comparison shop, and they have a whole year before the New Hampshire primary to put all of the candidates, including Mrs. Clinton, on the spot. John?
NBC's Andrea Mitchell in Manchester tonight. Andrea, thank you. Chris Matthews is the host of MSNBC's Hardball and the Chris Matthews Show. He was in Springfield with Senator Obama today, and I asked him about the challenges facing these two candidates.
Well, really, Obama and Clinton have totally different challenges. Obama has to present himself as a real leader of the country. Everyone seems to like him. He has to introduce himself as someone who can truly lead us all. And Hillary Clinton has had 15 years of experience with the American people. We know she's smart. We know she's tough. I think she has to come across as more likable and perhaps more humble.
Hillary Clinton is considered, as you know, the front runner. Chris, what do you think Barack Obama has to do to overtake her?
He has to engage with her. She's the front runner. Hillary Clinton's running very high in the polls. He's the one just behind her, but a good bit behind her. He has to be able to engage her on the issue of the war in Iraq and the way things are being run in Washington. He's the new kid on the block, if you will. He has to prove that he can engage with the most senior Democrat, Hillary Clinton. He's got to fight with her, and that's going to be something to watch.
You mentioned the war, as we just heard from Andrea Mitchell. Hillary Clinton facing some tough questions from voters in New Hampshire today about her stand on the Iraq war. How do you think she's handling that question?
Well, back when Bill Clinton, her husband, ran for president in '92, he made a point of securing his position as a hawk, someone who supported the first Persian Gulf War. You have to believe that she's getting his advice to hold to that position this time. But that's not going to help her in the primaries. The primaries are going to be attended to and voted in by people who are very much against the Iraq war. She's going to have to get votes despite her position.
Chris Matthews, as always. Chris, thanks very much.
Thank you, John.
Now to Iraq, where there's a new American in charge tonight. General David Petraeus formally took over as head of all coalition forces there, and he's facing some major challenges. NBC's Jane Arraf is in Baghdad tonight.
A change in command and direction. The new top general in Iraq didn't paint a rosy picture.
The situation in Iraq is exceedingly challenging. The stakes are very high. The way ahead will be hard, and there undoubtedly will be many tough days.
President Bush is betting that Petraeus at Baghdad.
In Afghanistan, U.S. troops are bracing for another Taliban offensive. As NBC's Jim Macedo reports, the Pentagon says it needs more help from America's NATO allies, help it's not likely to get.
Fighting the Taliban. It's stronger, more organized, and struck hard in 2006. Suicide and roadside bombs killed more than 160 U.S. and NATO soldiers. Some 4,000 Afghans died. And with another spring offensive just around the corner, U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates is determined not to be caught off guard.
It's important that this year we knock that back and bring the situation fully under control.
Gates met in Seville, Spain with other NATO defense ministers earlier
This program note, tomorrow on NBC's Meet the Press, more on the debate over the president's Iraq war plan. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer and Minority Leader John Boehner are among Tim Russert's guests. When NBC Nightly News continues tonight, in-depth new challenges for the National Guard on duty here at home. Later, using humor to lure visitors back to New Orleans, but the question remains, is it safe? And parts of New York are already buried under more than 8 feet of snow. They were hammered again today. NBC News in depth tonight. The National Guard under strain. Citizen soldiers are America's first line of defense, called upon in times of national emergency, like Hurricane Katrina and the September 11th attacks. But with more than 50,000 Guard troops now serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Guard is stretched thin and facing growing challenges here at home. NBC's Kevin Cork reports.
Yep, you guys need a hand? It's the primary mission of the citizen soldier. Safeguarding the homeland in times of need. But a government study suggests that's getting harder to do. A recent Government Accountability Office report noted major equipment is Washington.
Coming up next, the big push to lure visitors back to the Big Easy in time for Mardi Gras. Some new details to report tonight surrounding the death of Anna Nicole Smith, specifically what will happen to her 5-month-old baby daughter, Danny Lynn. Smith's friend and former business associate, Trim Spa CEO Alex Goen, tells Dateline NBC that Smith's baby was moved from her home in the Bahamas after a break-in there last night. He says Danny Lynn is now staying with family members of one of the men claiming to be her father, Smith's attorney Howard K. Stern. Dateline NBC takes an in-depth look at Anna Nicole Smith's death tonight at 8, 7 Central. In New Orleans tonight, preparations are underway for the second Mardi Gras since Hurricane Katrina. In fact, some early celebrations have already started, but with a soaring murder rate, the big question in the Big Easy is whether the streets will be lined with the tourists who are crucial to the city's economy. As NBC's Martin Savage reports, New Orleans is hoping to lure back visitors with an aggressive and offbeat advertising campaign.
Less than 3 weeks before the city's biggest tourism event, Mardi Gras, New Orleans is poking fun at disaster, unveiling a national ad campaign using humor to try to lure back tourists. It was prompted by questions the city's Convention and Visitors Bureau still gets 17 months after Katrina. Like, is there electricity?
As much as 10 feet of snow in some places and counting.
Debate on Iraq. Tim Rustert's exclusive with Majority Leader Hoyer and Minority Leader Boehner. Only on Meet the Press.
Trading places, caring for your parents. NBC Nightly News Monday.
Finally tonight, snow and lots of it. While many people complain about a foot or two of snow, the folks in parts of New York would love to have that problem. They're digging out from more than 8 feet of snow, and it's still falling. Here's NBC's Peter Alexander.
State University at Oswego probably doesn't tell prospective students about days like this.
Reached a disappointing 24.5 feet. This winter, they could triple that.
They're looking forward to summer. That's when they predict this mound will finally melt. Peter Alexander, NBC News, Oswego, New York.
That is NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm John Siegenthaler reporting from New York. I'll see you again tomorrow night.
NBC News, America's news leader.
Monday, only on Today, caught on tape. A skydiver falls 4,000 feet and survives. Now he tells his story exclusively to Matt on Today on NBC.
Dateline set
February 20th.
Tom Cameron's race.
Brett Huntley. David Benson. John Chancellor.
Tom Brokaw.
The battle lines between Congress and the president over the war in Iraq. Tonight, a history-making vote rejecting the Bush plan. And now what? Are two American giants flirting with each